Good morning, I'm Jeff Munn. I was thinking about the difference between psychology and physics. And so, what do I mean by that? So often it seems like we think there's something to do with the thoughts in our head, that we need to manipulate them or maneuver them or change them instead of just seeing that they're thoughts. And when you think about the outer world, the physical world, the world of this cup, it has laws. It has things that you need to pay attention to. That in order to create in the outside world, you need to follow those rules. And what we often end up doing is thinking that similar rules apply inside our heads, and they just don't. To illustrate this, I was thinking about clouds, right? And so there's often an analogy made that thoughts, that thinking is like clouds. It comes and goes, it changes. It's very thin, vapory, wispy, all those words, right? And imagine that you were going to build a house out of clouds. And so if you were thinking about clouds the way you'd think about solid ground, you'd say, well, there's a cloud over there that's looks like a big mound of dirt. So now I'll find a cloud that looks like a shovel, and I'll move that over to the dirt somehow, and then I'll use the shovel to shovel the cloud of dirt and make it into cloud piles of dirt, and that'll be the cloud foundation. There'll be some kind of cloud hole, and then I'll find clouds that look like lumber, and I'll find cloud nails and a cloud hammer, and it gets silly really fast, right? That's kind of what we do with our thoughts. I was working with one of my clients yesterday who was talking about the thoughts that he sees as real around rules in the world. I need to constantly be working. If only I get this job, I will somehow be enough or be rewarded or feel better about myself. And those are clouds too. And when we begin to see that thoughts are thoughts, when we begin to see that what we are is not the thought we are thinking, but the thought factory, where if you think of like some kind of machine in our heads that is churning out thought, that is, it's just creating new thought after new thought after new thought after new thought, then we realize at some point the machine is going to generate a different thought. Or at some point the machine is going to generate a thought that says, oh yeah, this thought is silly, or this thought isn't real. Thoughts work differently than the outside world. And when we begin to see that, when we begin to see that maybe kinda we can modify our thoughts, but not really, all we can really do is just wait and see how they change over time. We can look in a particular direction, and somehow this creative capacity that is in us will produce thoughts that are appropriate to that situation, ideas that are appropriate to that situation. Then it's a lot less work. Then something that feels almost magical happens. The repetitive thoughts that we think we needed to mold and shape and change and modify and say affirmations around, they just begin to quiet on their own. And they get replaced by different thoughts. Things that maybe wouldn't have occurred to us. a thought to call someone we hadn't thought of, a thought, a way of looking at an issue differently, an openness to just something showing up that will surprise us. And when we're not trying to manage everything in our lives, including every thought that pops up into our head, wow, life becomes wonderful. And I don't necessarily mean we get everything we want or we get everything we think of. I literally mean wonderful, full of wonder, like, wow, that's amazing. How did that happen? So I hope that little ramble gave you a way in to think about things a little bit differently. I find curiosity, wonder, just listening to that space where things come from is an amazing path to making really significant changes in how you experience the world. Have fun experimenting with that. Thanks.